Well, a good Wednesday morning to you, Central Georgia. Meteorologist David Guerrero filling in for meteorologist Alex Pry, who's taking a well-deserved vacation as of right now. Now, the main story so far today has been the return of the humidity, and temperatures yesterday reached the lower 90s for the first time since August, which means we're going back to the summertime pattern that we are very familiar with, especially with the June and July months. Looking at all the sky cameras across Central Georgia, we have partly cloudy to mostly cloudy weather. Downtown Macon finally seeing some sunshine after a gloomy start to the day. We're seeing Perry having mostly cloudy weather, and then Warner Robins seeing a little bit more breaks in the cloud cover, so we're seeing a lot more sunshine there. Dublin has always been mostly sunny throughout the day, and they've actually had probably one of the best starts out of anyone here in Central Georgia. So the current number in downtown Macon is 83 degrees. Feels like 92 degrees already because of that high humidity value at 77 degrees. So looking at the headlines, the summertime pattern has returned, and it actually returned yesterday with the return of the hit or miss isolated showers and thunderstorms. It's all because of this humidity that has been brought from the Gulf of Mexico or Gulf of America, and the low 90s have also returned yesterday. That's going to continue for the rest of the week, but with the humidity and the temperatures in the 90s combined together, we can see feels like temperatures back into the triple digits. So talking about yesterday was the first day we were back into the 90s since August 1st, making it the coolest start ever for Macon for the August month. So we're still below average for this time of year. 91 degrees was our high yesterday. That's 2 degrees below average. We also saw 1/100th of an inch that fell in the Macon airport, which is barely anything, just a couple sprinkles or drops of rain. And most of the rain actually fell on Monday, which was probably the last day where we experienced the dreary weather and the temperatures into the 80s. So really from Monday to Tuesday was that big change in terms of our overall patterns so far in the month of August. Now looking at the 48-hour rainfall totals, we're seeing impressive rainfall totals for places north of I-16. So places such as Milledgeville seeing values near 4.5 inches, Eatonton seeing 5.2 inches, Sparta 3.4 inches, 3 inches in Dublin. Most of this rainfall is due to that widespread swath that arrived Monday evening, late night. That produced some thunderstorms already there too. And then for places south of I-16, barely anything impressive, only 1/2 inch in Macon County, also close to those values as well, Wilcox, Crisp, and Dodge County. So nothing really to count about for those areas. Satellite and radar shows mostly clear weather for the majority of Central Georgia. We still have those lingering clouds, especially down towards our south. Places such as Dooley County, Crisp County, Wilcox County still dealing with the cloud cover. But as I mentioned, Lawrence County was blessed with amazing skies as they started off this Wednesday morning. Now we are tracking this low pressure system that is currently giving widespread rain for the Florida Panhandle and the southern portions of Alabama. This is the same system that brought in that Florida or that Atlantic Gulf moisture, sorry, not Atlantic Gulf moisture, Gulf of America moisture that brought in the higher humidity values, and it also will increase our overall rainfall totals or rain chances for later this afternoon and evening. Now the temperatures all across the United States are well along average, so we're seeing mid 80s towards the Texas coast, upper 80s in New Orleans, upper 70s in Panama City. That's below average, but that's because of the rain cool there. 87 degrees in Jacksonville, 83 in Macon. So not saying anything really different as compared to average for this time of year. Now the temperatures here in Central Georgia, close to average as well. We're seeing temperatures into the lower 80s, a couple of 70s in some spots, especially Monticello, Thomaston, and in Butler. But overall, we are inching closer to average. Humidity value is not around average. It's actually extremely high, and we have dew point values into the lower 80s, especially in Forsyth, Monticello, Milledgeville, Gordon, and then we're also having upper 70 dew point values in Macon, Warner Robins, Unadilla, Cordele. So all in all, extremely muggy weather that we're currently experiencing, and you can just see it with the dark green that has been shaded across the board, which means very muggy. Once again, it's due to that system in the Gulf that's just pulling in that warm Gulf air and moisture into our area. So that's also increasing the feels like temperature. I showed you that with the current conditions in Macon. 92 degrees is the current feels like temperature in Macon. Warner Robins 91, Unadilla 97, Cordele 99, and we already have a triple digit value in McRae, 97 degrees in Dublin. So we're still in the morning. Typically we see these values later into the afternoon, but it just goes to show how much influence this humidity has had so far with our weather. So our heat index values are expected to be into the upper 90s, but we've already seen a triple digit value so far in McRae. So I think we could potentially see a lot more triple digits for more places here in central Georgia in terms of feels like temperature. So for today, it's still going to be humid. That's the main story. And because of the humidity and afternoon highs expected to be into the lower 90s, that's going to cause the return of that summertime pattern, scattered showers and storms. But we do have a chance of seeing more widespread activity later this afternoon and evening because of that system. That system could provide a band of rain and storms that could provide us widespread weather for later this afternoon and evening. So that's why we have an increased rain chance for today. Winds are also expected to be coming from the southwest at 5 miles per hour, so just a slight breeze overall. The future view shows that the next couple of hours are going to be dry, and the early afternoon as well is going to be dry as well. It won't be until 5 o'clock. Sorry. It won't be until 5 o'clock this band from the system could provide some widespread rain and storms. Now, thankfully, the storms aren't expected to be strong or severe in nature, but it could bring some downpours for that time. This band will then move northward, bringing areas such as Macon, Jones County, Putnam County, and Jasper County some much needed rain. And then for the overnight hours, the center of this system could move through our area. So that could provide some more showers throughout the early morning tomorrow. Some of these showers could also linger for tomorrow late morning. So that could influence your morning commutes tomorrow as well. But then once the system moves out towards the east, we should be left with mainly dry weather. Can't rule out an isolated shower or sprinkle, but overall the rain chances tomorrow, especially tomorrow afternoon and evening, are going to be way less than what we're expecting for later today. So now we go into Friday. Friday morning could have a sprinkle or two into the early morning, but most places will stay dry. Friday afternoon and evening, due to the heat of the day, classic summertime pattern, we'll see hit or miss showers and storms. A typical day that's similar to the weather that we experience in any single day in July or June. And then for the evening, we could see outflow boundaries. Now, the past model runs showed a lot more outflow boundaries in our area, and that produced some widespread thunderstorms. Now this model is now backing off a little bit. It's calling for Friday to be a drier night overall. So hopefully this is the true model run so that we won't be influenced or impacted by the weather for the first football Friday night of the season. But overall, there is a chance of some outflow boundaries that could produce some widespread thunderstorms for some areas here in central Georgia. In terms of the long-range future view, so this upcoming weekend, we could once again have that summertime pattern. So hit or miss showers or storms. Right now, the rain chances are only confined to 30% for both Saturday and for Sunday. Not going to be a washout. You could have a shower or storm, but it's not going to completely affect your outdoor plans. So they should still be at a go. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, models are saying that's going to be mainly dry, but once again, we'll still have that humidity in place, and the temperatures are still going to be into the lower 90s. So a shower or a storm is still going to be possible for the start of next work week. Now we get into the temperatures. As I mentioned, yesterday was the first day where we reached the lower 90s since August 1st, and we're going to continue to stay into the lower 90s in the near future. Tomorrow, lower 90s, 92 degrees is forecasted, 93 is forecasted for Friday, and we're not expecting any upper 90s anytime soon, which is a good thing. But once again, this humidity is not going anywhere. It's still going to stay high. We may see a slight drop in humidity on Sunday, but it won't be enough to call it a relief. We're just going to see humidity values into the upper 60s in terms of dew point values. So meaning it's still going to be humid, but it won't be as muggy as the other days that we're going to expect. So humidity is still going to be very bad, and that's going to cause some high feels like temperatures. Later this afternoon, as I mentioned, triple digits is possible for a lot of places here in central Georgia. Same thing goes for tomorrow. Triple digits once again, Macon, Dublin calling for triple digits tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Then we go into Friday once again, triple digits for all of central Georgia. So with that humidity in place, we could see some really high feels like temperatures and heat index values. Now, in terms of the tropics, this has been the main story for this past week. So Tropical Storm Erin is our 5th named storm of this year, and it has pretty good organization. But the thing is, it's within an area of dry air because of the Saharan dust. So it hasn't had the opportunity to strengthen much lately, but it will go into an area with warmer water. So by Friday morning, it should turn into a Category 1 hurricane, and this should be our first Category 1 hurricane of the season. Then as we get into the weekend, so by Saturday, strengthening even more into a Category 2, getting closer to the northern parts of the Leeward Islands. And then once it gets into Saturday, Sunday, it should strengthen into a major hurricane. So a Category 3 hurricane as it passes north of Puerto Rico. So that's something to definitely monitor, especially for the Caribbean. Thankfully, the latest tropical updates have been pretty optimistic in terms of the overall path and in terms of missing the Caribbean islands. So that's a good thing. Now, another thing is that it's forecasted to make a northward curve by the later portions, or by the early parts of next week. So by next work week, by Monday, Tuesday, we should see it start to curve northward. Now, the reason why we're expecting this to curve is because it's going in between two areas of high pressure. So it's going to go within a path of least resistance. It's also going to be pulled by the counterclockwise winds, not counterclockwise, clockwise winds of this Bermuda high right into the Atlantic basin. So that's the reason why we're expecting this to squeeze in between those two areas of high pressure and go through the island of Bermuda. So that's why most models have been forecasting this turn, especially at this area, at this point where it's going to go turn northward into Bermuda. Now, there are some models that have it nudge a little bit towards the west, and it could impact parts of the Carolinas, but once again, still seeing the majority of the models having this turn at a point where it will completely miss the continental United States. Here's the GFS showing the same thing. We have this one outlier having it go towards the Carolinas, but once again, it's only one model. The majority of the models have it missing the continental United States. Let's take a look at the GFS and Euro model in depth as we go throughout the weekend, getting closer to the Caribbean, passing it over through the north. And then the GFS has this curving a little bit earlier than the Euro, has it going through Bermuda by Wednesday. The Euro has it a little bit more towards the west, but it's still forecasted to completely miss the continental United States. So overall, everything's trending in the right direction. It's looking favorable that central Georgia will not be impacted at all by the storm, but we're still a week out. So there's still a lot of uncertainty with the path of the storm. Anything can happen. So it's going to be a good idea to monitor the forecast, especially in the next coming days. Now, we have a couple of areas that the National Hurricane Center are still monitoring. Well, this area towards the northern Atlantic, this originally had a 10% chance of development in the next 2 days. Yesterday, now has a 0% chance of development. Yesterday, it was within an area of warm water along the Gulf Stream. Now it moved northward along colder water, so the chances have diminished. So this is just a non-threat for anyone. And we have this other area that actually was just flagged last night. Now, this is associated with a tropical wave in the northern Caribbean. It has a couple of disorganized showers and storms. It's forecasted to move over the Yucatan Peninsula into the Bay of Campeche, which is a notorious area for development. This is the same area that developed Tropical Storm Barry late in June, and it's the same storm that also produced the remnants that caused the flooding in the Texas Hill Country. And it's also the same area that had the re-intensification of Hurricane Beryl. Originally, it came into the Yucatan Peninsula as a hurricane, then weakened into a tropical storm, and then strengthened once again as a hurricane as it moved northward into Houston. So the Bay of Campeche generally has very favorable ingredients for development. So this is the reason why the National Hurricane Center flagged this area for potential development. Once again, it has generally low chances of development, has a 10% chance of development in the next 2 days and a 20% chance of development in the next 7 days. And what we're thinking is that it'll increase the overall rain chances for the Texas coast. So nothing to worry about for central Georgia. Now, this is the time where the activity in the tropics really ramps up. So our first hurricane on average occurs on August 11th. So with Tropical Storm Erin not being a hurricane yet, we're a tad behind schedule, but we should have a hurricane, especially in the next coming days. And then on average, throughout the months of August through October, these 2 months, or the swath of months, so August, September, October, sorry, averages 11 to 12 named storms throughout that time. So we're on schedule. We had Dexter earlier this month, and now we have Erin. Thankfully, we don't have any other area that is really increasing our awareness for another named storm, but overall, we're still generally on schedule to have 11 to 12 named storms. So here's a look at the 7-day forecast. We have increased rain chances for later this afternoon and evening due to that system down in Florida and the lower portions of Alabama. That will produce potentially widespread rain and storms for later this afternoon and evening. Tomorrow, 30% chance of rain. This will be mainly for Thursday morning. By the afternoon and evening, we should be mainly dry, maybe an isolated shower or two. By Friday, that's when we'll have that classic summertime pattern, hit or miss showers and storms, and we'll continue this pattern throughout the weekend. And then by Monday, models are saying that's going to be mainly dry, but the conditions, the ingredients are there for maybe an isolated shower or storm, just a classic summertime pattern. Temperatures will continue to stay into the lower 90s, and the humidity still going to stay extremely high. So that means our feels like temperatures will stay really high as well, near the triple digits.